You ever watch someone sit under oath and realize instantly they're not ready for the truth to follow them into the room? That's what happened the moment those three words dropped. Everything shifted. The air tightened. And suddenly a man who once invoked the Fifth Amendment to protect himself in a classified documents investigation was now expected to answer, clearly and honestly, as the potential leader of the nation's top investigative agency. What unfolded next wasn't a routine hearing. It was a stress test for the integrity of law enforcement, and the cracks appeared fast.
Mr. Patel, do you know any of these five individuals? Erica Knight, Tom Ferguson, Greg Menser, Steve Reese, or Carlos Fernandez?
Yes, Senator.
Who are they?
People I've worked with in the past at some point.
I'm told that those are the people that will be additional political appointees to help run the FBI. Is that correct?
That's news to me, Senator.
Under the history of the Federal Bureau of Investigation since the reforms in the early 1970s, there's only been one political appointee. I'm told that these will be additional political appointees, 5 extra political appointees. Do you know if Reese or Fernandez are affiliated with SpaceX or Elon Musk?
I don't.
I'm told that they are affiliated with SpaceX and Elon Musk, and that he had influence in who will be placed around you as political appointees. Mr. Patel, did you see the President of the United States declassify the documents that were found at Mar-a-Lago?
I witnessed the President of the United States issue a declassification order for documents.
That did not answer my question. Did you or did you not see the President of the United States declassify the documents that he was holding, the classified documents that were at Mar-a-Lago? And did you?
I don't know the answer to that question because I don't know what was fully found because the Justice Department hasn't made that public.
You claim publicly that you saw President Trump declassify documents. Is that correct?
That's correct, Senator.
So you did indeed see President Trump declassify the documents that were found at Mar-a-Lago that he refused to turn over. Is that correct?
No, what I said, Senator, was I heard and witnessed the President issue a declassification order for a number of documents.
For the documents specifically that were at Mar-a-Lago?
When he issued that order, there was documents. I don't know what was found and what was not found at Mar-a-Lago. I wasn't there.
So this is the issue. The question is will you lie for the President of the United States? Would you lie for Donald Trump?
No.
I hear you saying no, but the best way to clarify that would be to testify, as you are allowed by law, upon what you said to the grand jury. Because that grand jury, as you just said to my colleague, 2 or 3 days of it was about this specific issue. And so as my time ends, Mr. Chairman, it would be utterly irresponsible for this committee to move forward with his nomination unless we know factually, which can be proven by looking at the documents that he's refusing to testify towards. It would be irresponsible for us to move forward if we do not know that the future head of the FBI would break the law and lie for the President of the United States. We can find that out factually if we had access to the testimony or if he would tell us what he said to the grand jury, which by the law of the United States of America, he's allowed to, but he's refusing to do so. He is refusing the transparency that he claims to adhere to. He is refusing to be direct with the United States Senate. He is refusing to be transparent and put it all out there. Did he or did he not lie for the president? That is the question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Faster than anyone expected, because the second Senator Booker began pressing for real answers, you could almost see the tension ripple across Patel's face. It wasn't just discomfort, it was something deeper, something closer to fear or calculation, like someone trying to pick the safest version of the truth while the clock is running out. And Booker wasted no time. He went straight to the question that set the room on edge: the sudden removal of career prosecutors. Not political hacks, not appointees, career prosecutors who'd handled some of the most sensitive cases in years. The moment Patel was asked about Brett Reynolds, a name tied to key investigative decisions, everything got strange. His memory evaporated. Doesn't ring a bell. Need more context. For a regular witness, maybe that would pass. But for someone poised to take over the FBI, forgetting a name tied to high-profile investigative work? That's not just suspicious, it's alarming. And here's where the buzz starts. Insiders online have whispered for months that a quiet purge of certain investigators wasn't random at all. Rumors suggest it was designed to protect powerful interests. Now, to be clear, that's speculation, but Booker's questions made it impossible to ignore. When Booker demanded a yes or no answer about whether Patel knew of any discussions to punish investigators connected to sensitive cases, Patel's replies got even murkier. He kept slipping into vague assurances and legalistic dodges. Not aware. Did not participate. To the best of my recollection. This wasn't memory loss. This was maneuvering. Because if he answered incorrectly, it could expose internal coordination. If he answered truthfully, it could expose motive. And either path came with consequences. But Booker didn't let him wiggle out. He pushed further, drilling into something that seems small on paper, but is enormous inside the FBI. Whether Patel would honor standard review processes. These aren't just bureaucratic rituals. They're the backbone of integrity. If leadership skips them, it means decisions, especially punitive ones, can be made in the dark, without oversight, without checks, without fairness. The kind of environment where fear replaces professionalism. So when Patel looked unsure, that shook the foundation of the room. And then came the moment everything tilted, the immunity revelation. Most people don't know how immunity really works. They hear the term and assume guilt. But legally, it's more complicated. Prosecutors can seek a court order to compel testimony from a resistant witness. Once compelled, that testimony can't be used against them, which keeps the Fifth Amendment intact. But here's where the optics hit like a hammer. If investigators have to force you to talk and shield you from your own statements, it usually means they believe you're sitting on information that matters. Patel admitted he testified under immunity. He admitted he appeared before the grand jury. But when Booker asked the obvious follow-up, "What did you say?" the deflections came pouring in. He said he couldn't remember everything. He said the transcript would speak for him. He said he wanted it released. He claimed he was bound by secrecy. And Booker, calm but razor-sharp, corrected him. Witnesses are not bound by secrecy. There is no legal barrier preventing Patel from sharing exactly what he told the grand jury. The only barrier was Patel himself. And that silence, that selective, careful silence, was louder than any confession. Then Booker hit the question that froze the room. Did Patel testify that he witnessed the former president declassifying documents? Yes or no? Not a narrative, not a memory test, a binary choice. And Patel refused to answer. Again, and again, and again. He kept pointing the committee back to a transcript no one was allowed to see yet. A transcript that, according to chatter online, may contain statements that contradict public claims. Now that's speculation, of course, but you don't need rumors to feel the weight of what happened. The refusal alone sent a message. Whatever he said behind closed doors was not something he wanted on national record, but Booker wasn't finished. He shifted from Patel's past actions to his future intentions. And that's where things got even more unsettling. Booker asked Patel whether he had discussed specific investigation targets with members of a transition team. Patel denied it, but faintly, weakly, always with qualifiers like, "to the best of my recollection." You don't attach qualifiers to something you're certain about. And if a future FBI director had discussed investigative targets with political staff, that would cross a red line so bright it could burn through the floor. The FBI is supposed to operate independently, not as a weapon or a shield for any political figure. Then Booker dropped the revelation Patel never expected him to bring up, the plan to remove 11,000 FBI personnel. Not reorganize, not restructure, remove. Entire divisions, entire departments, the very backbone of federal law enforcement. Patel tried to cushion his earlier comments, but Booker wasn't having it. He confronted him with the possibility that this wasn't some vague notion or hypothetical, but a roadmap, a prepared plan with specific names and political replacements ready to slide in. Names were mentioned. People tied to political loyalty, not investigative excellence. And Patel, suddenly uneasy, sidestepped again, avoided the question, moved back into fog. You could feel the discomfort ripple through the chamber. Because if that plan exists, if an incoming director intends to gut the FBI and rebuild it with politically aligned personnel, that would reshape American law enforcement in ways we've never seen. And here's the part that many viewers miss. This isn't about politics. It's about power. Raw, unchecked power. Because think about what happens when career agents fear losing their jobs for working a case honestly. Think about what happens when prosecutors self-censor because pursuing a lead could cost them their career. Think about what happens when transparency becomes optional and accountability becomes selective. Law enforcement stops being a shield for the public and becomes a tool for whoever holds the reins. That's why Booker's questions were so pointed. He was exposing pressure points that determine whether the FBI remains an independent institution or something far more dangerous, something far more fragile. And Patel's evasions weren't slips. They were signals, signals that transparency was negotiable, signals that memory was flexible, signals that accountability might depend on who's asking. When Booker circled back to his final points, asking whether Patel believed Congress should thoroughly review nominees, Patel said yes. Easily, quickly, almost with relief. Because that was the one question that didn't trap him. The one question that didn't lead anywhere dangerous. But then the moment came that turned the hearing from tense to unforgettable. Booker looked at Patel, laid out the pattern of evasions, and made it clear, these weren't harmless dodges. These were warning signs of someone who had already once used legal protections to shield himself, now seeking control over the very institution that grants, investigates, and enforces those protections for others. And that's why this exchange matters. Not because it was dramatic, not because it was political, but because it revealed three critical risks. 1. Selective enforcement. When loyalty becomes the metric, justice becomes optional. Point 2. A chilling effect on career staff. When investigators fear retaliation, the truth becomes harder to find. Point 3. Erosion of public trust. When the public stops believing in the independence of law enforcement, cooperation collapses, and safety collapses with it. Booker wasn't just questioning Patel's past. He was questioning what the future looks like if someone evasive, uncertain, and possibly compromised takes the helm of the most powerful investigative agency in the country. And Patel's answers, or more accurately, his refusals, were the real revelation. Because in a moment where clarity could have restored trust, he chose ambiguity. In a moment where transparency could have strengthened his legitimacy, he chose silence. In a moment where leadership demanded courage, he chose the comfort of the fog. If that doesn't make you pause, it should, because hearings like this aren't just political theater. They're windows into the character of the people who may soon hold enormous power. And when someone avoids the truth under oath, in front of Congress, with national security implications hanging in the balance, that isn't a minor issue. It's a flashing red light that if you want to stay informed as more hearings like this unfold, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on notifications. This channel breaks down the moments others skip, connects the dots others ignore, and brings you the truth with clarity, context, and depth. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned.